Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. Really important stuff we're going to talk about today, because this is kind of the baseline for all of us. We crave relationships. We crave connection. And we're going to focus on relationships today. There's a book that came out a bunch of years ago called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. John Gray wrote the book, kind of a standout book for its time to bring to light the differences between the two sexes. Currently undergoing a Venus retrograde right now, astrologically, which brings us to the spotlight on relationships. She's somebody that helps people with coaching, navigating relationships. But what's interesting is she does it from many different modalities and viewpoints: spiritual, therapeutic, Reiki, mediumship, intuition, and so much more. Jamie Serrato is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Steve. It's good to see you.
You too. I love your glasses.
Thank you. I'm always getting a new pair.
I'm telling you, I was like, when you showed up today, I'm like, wait, something's different. The glasses, they're good. They're totally you. You know? Yeah.
Well, I buy the inexpensive ones now, so that way when they break, I can just use it as an excuse to get a new pair.
I do the same exact thing. Like, I don't go, and I don't always wear glasses, but the ones I have, I buy them online. Once you have the prescription, you just can keep using the prescription.
It's so easy.
It's so easy, right? And then you don't feel bad, like, you sit on them by accident or whatever.
Exactly.
It might be. Yeah, it's almost like half the price. We digress. So before we dig into relationships, Venus is the planet of love. Am I right? Loosely saying
yes,
that?
Love and how we relate to others and our self-worth or feeling of our own value, which, connects into the type of relationships we form, for sure.
How does this Venus retrograde we're currently undergoing, Mercury retrograde kicking in a day, but the Venus retrograde, how does that translate to relationships, and how might we see them differently?
So when Venus is direct, we focus more on external expressions of love, right? Like maybe buying somebody gifts, giving them money, taking them out on a date, giving them flowers, more physical, obvious expressions of love. And when Venus goes retrograde, we experience love more on an internal level. So this can be a time when we are able to feel more so, if we're connected to our hearts, what's going on in a relationship, with maybe less of the external expressions of love kind of being in the way between us seeing the reality of a situation.
Wow. See, I didn't expect that. I'm thinking more that Venus, the retrograde, and when it goes direct, it's going to be more of a focus on those relationships around us. But it seems like it's more of the focus on us, what we need in terms of love, that, of course, pilot the relationships.
Yes, everybody has an external world and an internal world. And especially people who are born with a lot of retrogrades in their chart, they tend to have a more internal focus, right? So people born with Mercury retrograde tend to take a while to think about an answer before they give you an answer. They might need time to reflect before they're sure of themselves. So Venus being retrograde now allows us to more easily access our inner world and how we're experiencing a relationship or love at this time, and feel into that instead of focusing on the external expressions of love.
So when we talk about the retrograde and our birth, are we referring to whether you were born during a retrograde?
Yes.
Wow. Time to look back. You can see this stuff. You can just type in, let's say the year you were born, whatever it is, 1976, and type in Mercury retrograde 1976 and see if there's, when the retrograde period was taking place during that year. Let's say you were born during a retrograde. What would it represent?
So this could be that you come in with more past life information. People with a lot of retrogrades often are able to access more of other lifetimes that they've had. And sometimes some astrologers believe that that person is redoing or retrying a particular lesson that they may have begun in a past life but weren't able to complete.
So, is it a good thing, a bad thing if you're born during a retrograde, or it doesn't matter?
I think it matters in that if you know you're born with a particular planet retrograde, you might give yourself more grace in that area, right? So if you know you have Mercury retrograde, you may know that you need to take time to think about something before you come up with an answer. And then you can pace yourself and say, hey, can I get back to you in a few days? And you can work more with your own natural rhythm if you're aware of certain retrogrades in your birth chart.
When we talk about the Venus retrograde, does that happen every year?
I think it happens about every other year.
Okay. So I just double checked. I wasn't born during a Mercury retrograde, but I was born during a Venus retrograde. No, actually,
Wow.
no. Wait a minute. Hold on. I stand corrected. Double checking. I am incorrect about that. Yeah, I wasn't born during Jupiter retrograde. Doesn't mean as much. So yeah, Venus and Mercury. I'm clear.
You're safe.
I'm safe, I guess. I don't know. In relationships, many of us hide things. We're not really being ourselves. Is this a time during these two retrogrades at this present time? Is this one where we should reveal more of ourselves, be more who we really are, be true to ourselves?
Absolutely. And I think if, your values have changed and your beliefs have changed, this can be a good time to kind of look at your relationships and see, are they still aligning with who you are now compared to who you were 6 months or a year ago?
I 1,000,000,000%. And I don't want to feed into anything. I just kind of lean back on it. I find myself very much so doing that, looking at relationships at this time and seeing if they fit. It fit me, It's amazing. Even it could be somebody you met a couple of years ago, and now you look at it, it's like, not a romantic thing. I'm just in general. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to hang with them anymore. They're not. I thought it was this. It's really not. It's really this, and doesn't really support me at this time.
Yeah, and I think we're at a time in our evolution where it's really important for us to have relationships around us that are definitely supportive, right? Obviously supportive, especially if you're on a healing journey and you've been through a lot of things. It's kind of like if someone is just kind of there, if they're not contributing to your life in a positive way, they can actually be draining you or, taking from you in a way. So it's very important to evaluate your relationships and make sure everyone who you are close with, physically and energetically, is in alignment with your path and your purpose.
During this period, is that the best time to do it?
Yes, and I also think with this lunar eclipse, which we're coming up to tomorrow, a lot of people might be getting hit with realizations because a lunar eclipse, it reveals things, it illuminates things because the sun and the moon are opposite one another, and we see that contrast. It becomes very visible, and it also makes things that have been unconscious or hidden more obvious and more visible.
I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder. And a full moon we're talking about here.
Yes, a full moon and a total eclipse, not a partial. So it's a very strong transit.
This is a big deal.
Yes. I've actually heard a lot of readers that I resonate with online saying this week is almost like the Big Bang of the new Earth. Like things are shifting and timelines are changing massively during this week and this lunar eclipse.
I feel a little uneasy, to be honest.
Makes you kind of nervous, huh?
Yeah. Like, all right, what's coming my way? Arguments, change of plans.
Mm-hmm. The thing to remember about arguments is that you don't have to engage with them, right? If you don't feed the conflict your energy, you're starving that energy out, right? And it will go away.
Okay. Don't engage.
Don't engage with the ego conflicts if you can.
It seems, though, based on what we're talking about, that the universe wants you to be you, be the real you, and that can lead to that conflict, confrontation.
Yes. You're
But
100% right.
so then
Yeah.
you part of you wants to stand up for you, but then the other part of you like, I don't want to deal with that. I want to lean back on that. So I guess it's a delicate balance over the next week or two.
As you become more and more authentic and you realize who you are, things that are not a match become more and more obvious. And oftentimes, these arguments or conflicts, these are people from our past who are still looking to engage with a past version of us. So, like maybe years ago, I would have engaged in certain arguments. I would have tried to defend myself. Where now I say, well, the truth doesn't need any defense, right? Truth speaks for itself.
Yes.
So yeah, it can definitely be a time when arguments come up, but people are often looking for a version of you that doesn't exist anymore as you become more authentic.
That what you just said, I believe, is huge because we're always evolving, and maybe it's speeding up in the last month, and especially with all these transits and everything going on, that we're really not the person that we were previously. But to your point, others around us feel that we are, and they're acting like that you were that person. Never saw it that way. Wow.
Yeah, people become comfortable with us being a certain way. And in their head, they can compartmentalize and put you in a box somewhere and say, Jamie is this person or Steve is this person, and I can go to him for XYZ. And as you demask and as you become more who you are, you don't resonate with that anymore. But that other person didn't get the memo, right? That person is no longer available.
I personally, I feel that. I feel that in a big way. And your intuition knows what supports you and what doesn't. Unfortunately, many of us are afraid to let some things go, relationship situations, for fear, whatever the fear may be. But that no longer supports you. That relationship was then. This is the new me, the new you, whatever it might be. I guess we just have to have the courage to move it forward.
You absolutely have to be courageous. Healing is not easy. People look at someone maybe 10 years into their healing journey and they say, well, everything comes so easy to that person, but they don't know how much fear that person had to overcome, right? As we become more authentic, we're releasing fear because we had fear to be ourselves. So it definitely takes courage and bravery.
When we first got started, we used the word mask. Like a lot of us, I have a mask on. We're not really being us. Is this a time where the masks come down a little bit?
This lunar eclipse can definitely cause certain people's masks to kind of slip off because it makes what was suppressed or repressed conscious. It brings it out with the full moon.
Brings to mind a song that came out a bunch of years ago, and it was by Billy Joel. It's called "The Stranger," and I just called it up here, and it addresses what we're talking about. We all have a face that we hide away forever, and we take them out and show ourselves when everyone has gone. Some are silk, some are steel, some are silk, and some are leather. They're the faces of a stranger, but we'd love to try them on. So it's almost as if I'm getting from that. We like to try these different masks, but we're not really being us. Even in private moments, we're really not being us. We're being what we think we need to be, maybe what we should be, but how can we harness the power of what's going on around us and tap into our true self? Is there a way?
I think you have to tap into your own power source, right? Your power comes from your solar plexus. That's where all your confidence flows through. And as you remove masks and you become less fearful of being yourself, your solar plexus is strengthened and it becomes stronger and stronger. And then you really can't pull anyone else out of their own lack of authenticity, but you can be an example and a role model, and you overcoming your fears will help lead other people to follow as well.
Have you gone through that journey where you personally realized who you are, or better, do we ever realize who we really are?
I think we're always on a journey to becoming more authentic and getting closer to feeling like who we really are.
Do you remember that feeling when you felt it for the first time, where you said to yourself, I'm me, or I'm the closest to what I think should be is me. Do you remember that feeling?
I do. When I left my last typical 9 to 5 type nursing job, and I started giving myself permission to express myself authentically and creatively, it started out with just 2 or 3 minute videos I posted to Instagram speaking about the things I was truly interested in. Um, that was the first time that I really started to see a glimmer of, my inner child and who I could be if I gave myself permission to be authentic.
And did you find along the way that that feeling of I'm truly being me started intensifying and getting kind of maybe like bigger?
Yes, it was like a small light, almost like an orb that grew and grew and grew as I watered it, and I gave it sunlight, and I took breaks when I needed breaks, but I kept growing it. I didn't give up on it, and it's like my authenticity and my true light and power grew bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's still expanding every day.
Do you look back even a few years and say to yourself, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but who was that person? Like who are they again? Like it's almost like a literally or figuratively like a different person.
I do, and I give myself grace and forgiveness because I was doing the best I could at that time with
Yep.
what I knew how.
Yep.
I didn't know another way to survive. I didn't know another way to be accepted by other people, and I took on that mask out of fear. So I forgive myself for living inauthentically, but I'm so much happier and so much more fulfilled, and I'm attracting such better connections and people and opportunities into my life now that I'm living an authentic life.
When you talk about those connections, I believe part of it is you're being you. So you're being genuine, and who wants to be around somebody who's not genuine? I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
How do you raise your vibration to attract the people that you want in your life and attract the things that you want?
There are many ways to raise your vibration, but being authentic is a big one. Just naturally being yourself. You can't find your people if you're not being yourself, right? Because the people that are looking for you, they're looking for the authentic, real you. They're not looking for that fake person. So when we are being fake or wearing a mask, we attract people to us who are often also wearing masks and are not a vibrational match to our authentic self. So just being authentic and making those choices that you're afraid to make will help draw in authentic connections as well.
So I guess I'm pivoting over to intuition, but how do you know that the choices you're making are the right choices for you, whether it's people, situations, whatever?
They will make you feel good. So as far as ways of raising your vibration, there's the obvious stuff, right? Like exercising, taking walks, getting out in nature, drinking lots of water, meditation, yoga. Things that give you energy are usually raising your vibration. If you go do a certain activity and it always makes you feel drained, often it's because you're using extra energy to try to maintain some type of a mask or a facade while you go and do that activity. So activities that are authentic to you, they will make you feel joyful, they will make you feel happy, and you will feel lighter after you do them.
I think it really just comes down to doing what you feel good about doing, because so many of us get wrapped up in the world of others. And, we show up for something. It's like, I don't want to be here. I'm just going to do it because, or, you're not really doing what you want. Sometimes we have to, but for the most part, I'm not doing that anymore. I made that decision.
Yeah, my life changed when I started asking myself, what do I want? What do I want to do this? Right?
Right.
So that's how you get connected to your heart and your inner child. Of course, you're right. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do to support ourselves and the people we care about. But ultimately, in an ideal world, we would be only doing things that we want to do instead of the pressures that other people place on us.
Well, therein lies the self-care, releasing the guilt, because a lot of us do things that others want us to do because we do it out of guilt. And maybe that's all
Yeah.
going to change in the next week or so.
I don't know if everybody's life will change in the next week or so.
But you know what? I'm thinking, whether you're aware of it or not, you're going to have those flashes in your mind. Like just, maybe question things a little bit more. Just like for a split second, like, I don't know if I want to do that. I never had that thought before. I always was on board for whatever that might be, but I'm not feeling it today. Full moon. I know that you harness the power of astrology in many regards. Crystals, I hear it's a recharge. You should put them on windowsills and stuff.
Yes, you can absolutely recharge your crystals during the full moon. You can put them out under the moonlight, say a prayer, and leave them out for a day or two during the full moon to charge them and cleanse them.
Same thing with bracelets too?
Yeah, I mean, it's all about your intention, right? So technically, any object can hold an energy and an intention. So you can absolutely do that with your jewelry if you want.
All right, I'm totally on board. Intention is like one of my top words. It really is. Like let's just go hypothetical. This pen will be with me from now until whenever. And when this pen is with me, I feel empowered. I feel it protects me. That's my intention I'm putting into this pen. Maybe I'll put it on the windowsill. Maybe it'll, grab some extra energy from the universe, from the moon. Is it reasonable to think in those terms?
It is. Now, I wouldn't over rely on it, right? Like if you have to study for a test, study for your test and use your good luck charm, right? But I would think of that as a good luck charm. Some people in the spiritual community use the term permission slips, right? So what you're using is basically a permission slip. You're giving yourself permission to be powerful when you hold that pen, but you already had the power within you, but this is a symbolic representation of what you are using your energy for.
Totally gotcha. So what would be the difference between this pen and, let's pretend, this crystal in my hand? Would there be a big difference because it's a crystal?
That would be a really cool experiment to try. It may depend on who you are and what your beliefs are. I believe crystals hold a higher frequency than a pen does, right?
I do too. That's why I asked that.
Sacred geometry, yeah, that kind of thing. So I would think the crystal would be more useful, but if you had no access to that, you could make do.
And again, all about the intention. But yes, I agree with you, and especially because it's been said that there are crystals in our body. That's why the crystals resonate, and that's why they are so special and support us. So I would have to think that, between the pen and the crystal might be a little bit better for you, and that could be your good luck charm as well. Could be anything.
Absolutely.
Fascinating talking about this. I'm going to be honest, a little uneasy, but you know what? I shouldn't manifest that. I should flip that around and say, this is going to be a really cool time of awakening for all of us. We're going to find the things that truly support us, open our eyes, change direction potentially, all for the greater good for all.
Yeah, well, whatever is revealed, even if it's something earth-shattering or upsetting or shocking to you, it was divinely orchestrated by God, right? Or by the universe, whatever you believe in.
Funny you should say that, because in my current journey, which began almost 5 years ago, that was the starting point. I mean, the starting point, and that was, it will all be revealed. The truth is everything. You can't change. The truth is the truth. That is, the true truth, not the one that, whatever you want it to support you, but the real truth. Everything gets revealed no matter what.
Isn't there that saying, there are three things that cannot hide for long: the sun, the moon, and the truth, right?
I just wrote that down in my mind and I won't forget it. That's super cool. What's your website? Somebody wants some coaching, insight, help with astrology, relationships. How do we find you? www.calmerwaterscoaching.com. Here's to a successful, beneficial Venus and Mercury retrograde and everything that comes along with it. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Jamie, we'll catch up soon. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.